Hello and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is January 30th, 2015, and we're about to start our mystery quilt. As you can see, we're coming to you from the Simply Colorful studio that has a very austere look. No color, no nothing, because I want to build the mystery quilt with you over the course of the next 5 weeks. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am. I'm really excited about this one, and I think that it's a good mystery quilt for anyone who would like to enjoy the anticipation of quilting together and sharing with each other. And it is just 2 colors, and the pieces are very big. The end quilt will be quite big. It will be 92 inches by 94 inches, so it will be big enough for a couple of people to snuggle under, which is always nice. And again, it's just 2 colors. So if anyone has not seen or found the first clue, go to simplycolorful.com and look for the 2015 2-color mystery quilt, Delight Mystery Quilt. And it's there. And you'll see there are 2 files there already. One is the preparation phase, and the other is clue number 1. And I hope for those of you who have read through it, and I have to admit, I have not been online since I posted it this morning at 7 o'clock, so I have no idea what's going on out there. I hope you're all enjoying it or conversing amongst yourselves, actually. I did get one text from my sister midday, so thank you, Karen, and she asked me a couple of questions, which we'll address tonight. And send me email, as always, to lmarquidon@gmail.com. So, couple of other things too before we get started. Again, it's such a white background here, and that's on purpose. The prototype that we made for one of the prototypes, we've made a couple of this 2-color delight, was red and white. And I hope this isn't confusing, but throughout the next 5 weeks, in your instructions, the colors will be red and white. But I was thinking, while I'm going to make a second quilt with you, I didn't want 2 red and white quilts, so I'm actually going with a second set of colors, and that's what I wanted to show you first today. And they're very different. So first, for my main color, fabric A, or color 1, I have selected a very small brownish print. It has a little red and a little bit of gold in it. So that's my fabric 1, or A. We've got to keep with letters, fabric A. Then for my second color, I'm going with scraps. And there are 2 avenues. You may have seen that, and that might be the only other complicating factor is you can either choose a second color, or you can choose a grouping of scraps in that second color's family. And what I'm doing is I am choosing neutral scraps. So literally, I have all of my grays and light greens and browns that read from a distance as a white. And together, those are what are going to make my quilt. My backing is going to be a color that has both, or a piece of fabric that has both of those colors in it. And I'm trying to think if I should show that to you now. And I probably should, but I don't want to confuse things because this adds a 3rd color. But I'm going to do it anyway. So my backing is going to be this, and it has browns and off-whites in it. But you'll see it also has reds. So in effect, I guess you could say it's a 2-color delight with an optional 3rd. Ask me questions if that doesn't make sense. But for now, and for many clues to come, we're going to be working with these 2 colors. So I hope you've picked out 2 colors with a lot of contrast. It could be red and white, it could be blue and white, it could be red and green, it could be pink and another a fabric that has pink in it and a lot of other colors, a print. So Jean, I know you're out there, and I've seen the colors that you posted, the lime green, the pink, and then the beautiful print that includes both colors. That will work. Just pick one as your fabric A and the other one as your scrap or fabric, your scraps. Now, further complicating it, as you probably saw, if you don't want to go this scrappy for your second color, you can pick 4 colors in this color wave. And you'll see that I gave directions on that. And throughout the next 5 weeks, you'll use fabric B, fabric C, fabric D, and fabric E where it says. And at the end, I promise you it will all come together. So that is what we're at. And you know, in this preparation phase, we haven't sewn, and let's see, we're 11 minutes into it. In fact, let me see who's out there. I'm going to put this over here for a second and see if anyone is out there with any questions right away. Feel free to send me a question. Again, lmarquidon@gmail.com. You can always post a question on Facebook. We have the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt Along, which is great. Thanks and big shout out to Karen for changing up the Simply Colorful logos at the top of the sites. I love it. It's very festive and very red and white for Valentine's Day. So thank you for doing that, Karen. That was exciting to see. Okay. Now, interestingly, the first thing I see is a missed call from Bob, because you may have noticed I was about 2 or 3 minutes late tonight because I could not find my phone. So my husband and I were running around here in the Simply Colorful studio, and he was calling my phone that ultimately was right down here on the floor after all of that. So he is the first message, and we don't. That's all set. Oh, my glasses are steamy. Let's see. So let's see if there are any questions, and I expect not, but just in case, and we will just get motoring right through. Norma. Oh, my glasses. I see Norma's out there. Hi. And she sends a note and she says she's so happy to be doing this mystery quilt. She loves the colors and has always wanted to do it in red and white. So I can't wait to see how it turns out. Thank you so much. Oh, good. Good. I had always wanted to do a red and white, and I can't wait to see yours too. Allison in Australia, she says, hi, it's this hot summer morning here. My granddaughters and their parents flew home to England this morning. Oh, that's right. You were busy with them. So I won't be doing the MQ sewing today. Too busy cleaning. Understandable. But midweek I will start, so I'll be up to date for next week. We'll sit and enjoy a cup of my favorite tea and watch and rest for the next hour. Well, Allison, you deserve a rest. So enjoy. Okay, let's make sure no one has any major questions. Thanks to the new subscribers. And I promise I will get to everyone. But why don't we dive into clue number 1 so that we can make some progress. Okay. The first unit we're going to make is unit 1A, and that's nothing more than half square triangles. And literally, there are a couple of different ways we can make it. One is with the AccuQuilt, which I love. And I have the die that's a 6.5-inch square cutting die, and it will make 2 triangles. And we literally, the way that we use that is we literally take my fabric A, put that down, put a scrappy fabric on top, right sides facing together. I'm going to give it a nice iron. And actually, you know what? I am going to go behind me and get out the AccuQuilt. So this is what the AccuQuilt die looks like. It's literally foam, and there are cutting edges, metal cutting edges, that make the form of each triangle. And hopefully the cutting board is firm enough to do this. It probably is for this AccuQuilt. So I literally have it flat out like that. I put my die down first. I'm going to use bigger squares of fabric because those I'd already cut to do a different method. So you'll notice that in the mystery quilt, there are multiple methods for each approach. And I hope you have fun with that. I know sometimes I'm in a mood to do one form, and sometimes I'm in a mood to do another form. And that's often true with triangles. Now, on big triangles like this, I like to do it this way because it's perfect. I just had not prepared it yet in time for us to go live. But now, that's the whole point of FiberCast, is that we can sew together. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm literally cutting a strip with my nice big scissors here, right? Where are my scissors when I need them? And I know this dark fabric isn't as fun as the red, so we may have to rethink this, but I wanted to give everyone variety. Okay, so I have my scrap is facing up. Now my fabric A is facing down on the die. Then I literally take my cover here, which is a plastic cover, and then it's just a matter of cranking it through the AccuQuilt, and the pressure does the cutting for us and does the cutting incredibly accurately. So now literally I have, for unit 1A, I have the two pieces of my triangle, and I'm going to sew those together. So that's the AccuQuilt method of cutting unit 1A. See, it's as clean, as new as it was before. And I highly recommend this. So that's the AccuQuilt. Now I know it's an investment, but for those of us, I don't know about you, but a couple of weekends out for dinner, or, you know, a car payment or whatever it is a lot of money. But for those of us who really love quilting, I think you will enjoy it, because it just takes so much time out of the preparation process and lets you get to piecing faster. Anyway, so that's the AccuQuilt method then of cutting, and I'll sew them together in a minute. Another way is to literally cut two patches. Two squares, 6 7/8 inch square. And I need to iron that. Which I've done. Put them right sides together. Use the rotary cutter. Can you see this? Yeah. And go kitty corner end to end and cut it. And then you end up with two pieces. Now, granted, the dog ears aren't cut off at the tips, but we have two pieces there. And I must admit that I probably have cut my squares closer to 7 inches square. And I do plan to square these up because at the end of the day, we're not making all that many. We're making 24 of these. That's it for the whole quilt, 24. Let me triple check that, make sure that's true. Yep. Okay, so let's get started making our Unit 1As. I've shown you the 2 ways to cut them out. And I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Move that over. Oh, the studio is just so white, isn't it? Oops, sorry about that. I love this fabric. It's very old-fashioned. There, so, okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think I'll sew those together, and then if we have time after we do the other unit, I'll come back and make the rest of these. Cut them out and make them. But let's sew them so that you can see what they look like. Turn on the machine. I hope everyone's doing well. Oh, I've been running around like crazy looking for my phone, like I told you. My husband brought this to me, ice water. He is good to me. Of course, you can, those of you who know me, any of you, can probably imagine how I was running around the house when I couldn't find my phone. It's really quite comical. Now I'm getting my chair stuck. Okay. So, again, look at those AccuQuilt triangle. It matches beautifully. And I have my Aurifil in here. I'm going to go down to 2.0. And for anyone who is out there and is a beginning sewer, I really hope you give this pattern a try, because we made it in with that in mind, and with the knowing that a lot of us have been doing a lot of mystery quilts. There could be a little mystery fatigue. So we've been doing a lot of mystery quilts with a lot of little pieces, and I just wanted to do something. We wanted to do something that was a little bit bigger. And look at that. You don't have to cut off any dog ears because it was already done. Now, let's make sure that it measures right. Now it's a little scant. Well, it's a little scant. It's 6.5 inches, but it's a shut. Now that works perfectly. So maybe no, that's right. 6.5 inches square. That will end up being 6 inches in our quilt. So make 24 of these, no matter how you cut them. You want 24 of these Unit 1As. Oh, Karen, hi. She says, hi, Lynn and everyone. She can't wait to see everyone's color choices. It's pink and white all the way for me. Ooh, I can't wait to see your pink and white. Thanks for calling in. Oh, so many of you are out there. I'm so glad to see that. Joyce, hi. Joyce said, I'm so excited to join you tonight. Your MQ is the only one I'm doing, and I don't know if you saw on your face page, I picked oranges and light cream for my colors. And she says, thanks for FiberCast. Joyce in Maryland. I did see your colors, Joyce, and I love them. And if I'm correct, you're doing 4 different oranges and your cream is your fabric A. So, right? If I'm remembering this right. And I love your colors. They're so bright and vivid. And as we go through these 5 weeks, you're going to see in some cases it'll say use your scraps or use fabric A. Use your scraps or use fabric B. So I can't wait to see yours, Joyce. That's great. Okay, so let me sew a few more of these. And then we'll go on to the second and final part of this clue. Do you believe it? Now, it may seem really easy, but know that the second part of the clue, Unit 1B, I think that's where some of the questions were. That's where both of the questions were, in fact. So hold that thought. We will get to both of those questions after I sew a couple of these. Post your pictures and your colors into either on Google Plus or I think the YouTube allows for photos now, if you want to put photos there, or on Facebook. Search for the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt-Along. We started that with the last mystery quilt last year. Peggy down in Australia suggested it, and it was a great idea because it's just focused on the mystery quilt. And that's all we'll talk about there. So it's kind of a nice stream. You know, if you want one big dose of the same pattern and everyone's colors, we can go there. In fact, I was having fun looking at the colors from the last quilt. And that's a hidden benefit. Whoops, as I veer off because I'm talking. Chatty Cathy here. You know, it kind of becomes a historian, Facebook does. And I'm sure many of you already know that. But, you know, we can go back and look and see what we did and what we were thinking a year ago, which is kind of fun, or what we were going through, what colors we picked. And I must admit, so this is last year's mystery quilt, for those of you who have done it or are doing it, that I've called Daffodil and Crocus, had lots of little pieces, including the 1.5 inch squares that end up being 1 inch squares in it. In fact, that's the quilt maybe I should have put up, but no, I wanted to keep this really focused on this year's mystery. Anyway, last year's quilt, I had lots of little pieces, and it was one of those that we kind of designed as we went. And I looked back and I remember all the way through it, I liked it, but I was worried that there wasn't enough value contrast, and it was a more complex quilt, maybe. A year later, when I went back and looked, I like it even more. And I like what everyone did with theirs. So I was tickled pink that I did pause and think we did good last year. And believe me, I can appreciate how much work it really was. It took a lot of time. Okay, so we have big flags. Big flags. And imagine how fast this quilt's going to go. Now, I say that, but don't be fooled, because we're going to head into Unit 1B, and that I expect will take actually several weeks if you're doing the scrappy version. If you're doing all one color, it'll be a breeze. But if you're doing the scrappy version, plan for that unit, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm pressing my seams and setting them. Let's see what I mean about the next one. So let's see. These are huge squares. Put that aside. Oh, iron toward the dark color. So I set the seams and I opened it up. I mean, this is a great quilt if you're doing audiobooks or you're listening to other podcasts or music. That's pretty. It's not meant to be a complicated quilt. It's just meant to be a coverlet that we do with two colors that we put on our beds and we use. In fact, remember last week or the week before, we were talking about that, sort of even more utilitarian quilts than maybe some of us have been making lately, and how I have a black dog alley, and how all these years I ruined a few quilts early on, and over the last several years I haven't had a quilt in the bed because I didn't want to ruin any more. But now I've decided I'm going to make big pieced quilts, and I'm going to put them on the bed and use it, and that is why I picked this color. So I'm literally cutting off the dog ears as we go. And then we'll jump right into clue 2, and then I'm going to look and see who's out there and say hello. And for those of you who might not be live but are joining the next day on Saturday and Sunday, I know a lot of you do that because we are on Friday night here in the East Coast. Hello and happy weekend to you too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's unit 1A. Let's put that aside. Like that. Unit 1B is literally made two ways. Either string piecing, or you can cut pieces that are 5.5 inches wide. And let's read how many we need. We need 12, if you're using just one color, cut 12 5.5-inch strips from your fabric. And each of those strips should be between 40 and 43 inches, the width of the fabric wide. And then just put them aside. And that's what you will have. So 12 strips of 5.5 inches. That's one method. Now, if you want to go more scrappy, and there's a picture there, we're going to do string piecing. And I apologize if I didn't describe it very cleanly or clearly. It's part of it is because there aren't very many rules with this. You literally, we start with a piece of paper that is 5.5 by 11 inches. And all we're going to do is build up a piece of fabric on here with strings. And the strings are literally nothing more than pieces of fabric. So I have lots of different off-white pieces of fabric here. And what I want to do is get variety in this and literally sew it down onto the piece of paper. Now, each string, so this is called a string. Each string can be a different width. And you can decide if you want it really thin, you can decide if you want it uniform, or if you want it truly scrappy. I'm going to go with truly scrappy. You know me. It's easier. I don't have to think as much, and I can use what I have here in my bin. Now I am going to try, and even though these are all the same color, right, on my red and white quilt, there's an example of this step. So this unit, and you'll notice that I had different values of this scrappy color too. And so I kind of I tried to alternate darker with lighter, just to give it more definition. So you can play with that. on this particular one, it's going to be a little bit trickier to get more definition. But I'm thinking, for example, that's kind of a off-white that I can put these two on either side. So I'm going to play with that. And let's just get, see this that we just cut out of the AccuQuilt. The other thing with the AccuQuilt, I thought I would waste a lot of fabric on the AccuQuilt, and I'm surprised at how little I do waste. Or maybe it's because I use up all my scraps. And Joyce, if you're out there, I love to hear that you're saving your scraps. That was a great revelation at last week's quilting open sew. Oh, we had such a fun time. I think maybe, gee, was it as recently as last Saturday? So last time I saw you, the next day I was going to open sew right here in Hopkinton, and we had such a nice day. It snowed out. Oh, so much to talk about with the weather around here. It snowed out a week ago, and we were the only ones at the community church, and we were able to, they had a parking lot inside, so we were able to park inside, and it literally snowed outside, and the plow trucks came and plowed out the drive of the parking lot while we were inside, and we had a really nice time. What was I going to say? Oh, so that was last week. And I think that's all I was going to say. There was probably something to this, but I forgot. Okay, so let me pull one of these. Again, 5.5 inches by 11. And then I literally am going to start with a string in the middle and overlay a second string on it. Now, you know what? I'm going to get two going so that we don't waste a lot of thread. So let me show. Now that's savable for something else. And there we have two strings. Now again, I'm not going to get much contrast, but that's okay. I just want a little variation in this particular step. And like I say, if you can work in a little bit more contrast, like this red and white, all the better, but you don't have to. And again, for those of you who aren't going scrappy, this will be all of one color. So let me sew on a couple more, and I'll show you how we trim it up, and then I'll see who's out there to say hello. All right. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to start a second one just so that we don't use too much thread. That's a good one. Oh, and I can hear Bob downstairs. He has a friend. Turns out they canceled band tonight. So he's not in the basement, but they canceled band. But Bob didn't know in time to cancel the second drummer that he had suggested come over when he found out the first drummer couldn't attend. So now I can literally hear them downstairs. It's Bob and the auxiliary drummer who has driven all this way, and now there is no band. but they're good friends, and I'm sure they're enjoying playing together. See, so again, this is a very albino set tonight. That's not going to play very well, but just know that it will be subtle, but I think we're really going to like it in the end. In fact, I'm going to do this. I hope those of you who are doing the mystery have dove in and or are watching or are enjoying your Friday night with another project. Can you believe that, when is it? Sunday is February 1st. I can't. I like that. Okay, let me do one more and then I will see who's out there. Ooh, this is fun. I like that. This is a perfect thing for your rotary cutter. Just whack off a piece. So see what I did there? I literally used a very long string. That's too long. And I'm just going to cut it right there. But I'm liking this sort of a medium value contrast with the other ones. So I might look for more of those in my stash that I can intersperse in. I think it'll just give it a little bit more movement. So again, this is fun. This is almost like a project you can take to a quilt retreat. You can do it if you just feel like you just want to get in some sort of pedal time. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it pedal time. This string piecing is a great thing to do. So let's see who's out there. Rosemary says, hello, Lynn. It's Rosemary from England. Hi, Rosemary. It must be in the middle of the night for you. She says, I too am doing red and white for my mystery quilt. Oh, excellent. Let's see. Oh, it's taking me to Google. So Rosemary in England says it's red with white polka dots and white with red polka dots. I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to see that. What size are the polka dots? I cannot wait to see that. See, this is going to be so fun. Carol says, I'm having internet problems. We'll catch you crafting sometime this weekend. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, by the time you're seeing this, hopefully you're enjoying it with coffee on Saturday morning or with the paper on Sunday, or maybe even before the Super Bowl. Patty from Texas. Hi. She says, hola. She says, I'm still working on my Grand Illusion mystery quilt. She's finally on step 4 with 80 half square triangles. I have to hurry because I'm going back to PA to spend 2 weeks with my granddaughter. Oh, she's having her tonsils out. Oh, sad face. She asked me to bring my hexes so she can help me sew. Wish me luck and keep sewing, Patty B. Oh, good luck. Oh, I hope there's lots of ice cream in her future. And of course, you'll have to sample it before you let her have it. Oh, I can feel the pain of the tonsils, but that's good that you can go up and be with her. I'm kind of curious if you're originally from the Pennsylvania area and how you ended up in Texas. I just love everyone who's out there, where everyone is from. You know, we've already had Allison. Oh, that's really good. I apologize for drinking in front of you, but I am really thirsty. Jennifer, she says, good morning, Lynn and Karen in PA. She's not doing the mystery this morning because she's been super busy and haven't selected my fabrics yet. So she's doing some wild and goosey blocks. Aren't the wild and goosey blocks a blast? I'm loving seeing what everyone's doing. I actually brought copies of the pattern at last week's Open Sew, and I know Kelsey's out there. She has some. Jean's out there. They're great to just throw in and do. Again, when you feel like doing just a little bit, that's excellent. Where will I find what colors people are using? I've looked on both Facebook and simplycolorful.com, but can't find anything. Oh, and she says, I'm so looking forward to seeing your quilt come together. Your fabrics are simply gorgeous. Oh, thank you. They are. They are. They're very different, aren't they? With the browns. It's very, very different for me, but it'll be fun to see it come together. Well, to see where everyone's things are, their colors that they're choosing. There's yet another place on Facebook to look. And what you do is go up into the search bar when you're in Facebook and just type in Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt Along. I should do it right now. Oh, you know what? It's at the bottom of every clue. Hang on. Or at the end of every clue, it says, yep, Mystery Quilts Along. Okay. So go to www.facebook.com/groups/Simply Colorful Mystery Quilts Along. And that's where people are posting their colors and their progress. So let's all put it in there and we can see. Oh, Marquet. Hi, Marquet. Oh, and I've been loving seeing, Marquet, your vegetable so that you've been cooking. It looks like you are doing great health-wise. Congratulations. There's nothing like walking and eating better, huh? Marquet says, I'm so happy that you're actually doing the quilt with us. I am. She says she loves that. Oh, good. I was so worried that you'd want to see red and white. So thank you. That's good feedback. My first question is, what size in width does the scrappy scripts need to be? Doesn't matter. It can be anywhere from, say, 1 inch to 3 inches, and you can vary it as you go along. Or you can make them all 2 inches, or you can make them all 1 inch. It really does not matter, and I'll show you how these are different widths here. You want it to just be scrappy in widths. So see how this one's bigger than this one? That's it. I asked this morning. Oh, good. So that was you. So it doesn't matter. The scraps can be different sizes. So Marquet also says her son and his family will be arriving sometime tonight. So I'm watching you and waiting for my granddaughter, Abigail, to arrive. Oh, Abigail, looking at the Christmas tree and holding the ornament. She's beautiful. Say hello to everyone for me. Marquet says hi, and tell them I hope they have a great weekend. Happy sewing, Marquet in Kentucky. Enjoy your family. That's great. Joan, she says, I found you in FiberCast 2 weeks ago on YouTube. Well, Joan G., welcome. She says, I'm planning a Dear Jane. Oh, and I'm currently working on 2 Japanese taupe block of the months. So I will not be working on the mystery quilt, but I wanted to thank you for FiberCast. It's helped motivate me to finish works in progress. FiberCast is playing as I'm sewing. She says, thanks, Lynn, Joan in Virginia Beach. That's perfect. That's just what I was hoping for, Joan, because it's just amazing what we can all get done in just 60 minutes. It really is, me included. When I look back at what I've done in the last year, and I hope what you've done in the last year, it's more than before when we weren't possibly sewing together. So welcome, Joan. And you know, your Japanese taupe block of the months, I'd love to see those. Sarah out there has one going that's just stunning, and she does beautiful work with her Japanese fabrics, and that's something I've never ventured into. So I'd love to see that. And as far as Dear Jane, that certainly later in the spring we'll be going back to some Dear Jane. I know Sheila's out there, she's doing it. Sue Norton is doing the Dear Jane. We have several of us who have at least, the thought is every quilter should do at least one Dear Jane in their lifetime. So I don't know if you believe that or if you've done many Dear Janes, but that's the philosophy around here. So we chip away at it. Oh, wonderful. Welcome, Joan. We're glad to have you. Cindy, welcome. Sheila, speaking of Sheila, she says, I'm watching tonight, excited about the mystery quilt. Yay. How are things down in Tennessee? I hope they're not as snowy as up here. We had more than 2 feet right here. And I was in Chicago while Bob was here, and so he did all of the shoveling. And the place looked beautiful when he came home. When I came home, he's been home. He took care of everything, and I came home on Wednesday night. It was really quite remarkable when you think about how much snow we have in the Boston area, that I was able to fly out on Monday morning at 6 a.m. and then by Wednesday afternoon, I was able to fly in at 5 and I got home at 7. So pretty remarkable. Carolyn, welcome. Hey, Sandra says clue 1A is done. You rock, girl. Ready for 1B. She said she had fun today and loves string piecing. Thanks for the inspiration. Hope you are not snowed in. We may get a little here Sunday. Stay warm. Hey, hey, hey. Look at that. Here, oh, that's so cool. So there are 24 of Unit 1As, and you're doing red and white. Oh, I cannot wait to see it. Way to go. Oh, Lorna, hi. Lorna says, happy Friday. I think this is one of my favorite days because of FiberCast. Hope your travels went well. They did. They did. It was relatively uneventful. We got done what we needed to get done in downtown Chicago. I'll tell you about that in a minute. She says, try to stay warm and safe. You have another bout of bad weather coming. I know. It was sprinkling snow here today, but the roads seem fine yet. But overnight, I think there's more. So Lorna says, here's a picture of the fabrics I'll be using for your mystery quilt. We'll be working on a Valentine's Day table runner. I think a good name for all your followers should be the Lynnettes. Oh, Lorna. Oh, love it. You have to tell us which colors are which. And is the green part of it, or is that your ironing board? Oh, sorry, everyone. Hang on. It flipped. That's beautiful. I'm going to go back. Look at those pretty colors. Oh, can't wait to see that emerge, Lorna. And here's the Magnolia Quilter. She says, hi, I love your vids. Short for videos. You do a great and entertaining job with them. I especially like it when it is you and KB. Thank you. Me too. Me too. And we're lobbying Congress or whomever we have to lobby to get her broadband so we can do it simultaneously. We are going to figure this out. You two make a great team. Thank you. My mother actually taught us how to be a good team. My mother and father. Okay, so she says, I was looking forward to watching live tonight, but we got Golden Corral coupons in the mail today and have decided to eat out. Ooh, wonderful. Yay for me, she says. I would like to ask about the second step for the MQ, as it isn't clear to me. I was hoping you were going to go over this tonight on webcast. The 45 units are to be 5.5 inches by 11 inches. So do we just wing it and use various size strips and make it any way we want as long as we trim it to 5.5 by 11? Yes. That is exactly what you do. She says, I'm going scrappy, and for background, I'm using a tan with scattered red flowers and tons of reds for the other colors. Perfect. Make sure your reds are really dark and contrast well with your backing. I've been wanting to do a red and beige or tan quilt for a while, and when you mentioned 2-color mystery quilt, that is what came to my mind. Thanks for enticing me to get one done. I will see webcast tomorrow or Sunday to get started. Have a great weekend. And it's Jenny Q in South Carolina. Well, thank you for joining us. I love that color combination. You have to send us pictures, and you're absolutely right. I'm going to keep going here, and I'm going to show you how to finish off one 5.5 inch by 11 inch unit. And you do need 45 of them, and that's a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes longer than you think, especially if you're going to do sort of, I don't want to say fussy string piecing, but if you want to play with the values and get lights and darks and lights and darks. But it's such fun sewing. I mean, this one I'm almost done with, so we can trim it up. Oh my, I just noticed the time. So I think we'll finish this up, and then we will call it a FiberCast for the week. For anyone who I didn't get to, I'm sorry, and I will reply to you online. And let me do one more string, and then I want to square this up and show you what one unit should look like. Okay, so see this? I have sewn scraps on. I'm going to sew one more here, and then I'm going to square it up. And you can literally use big pieces like this, like I'm going to do. And then when you square it up, it'll be in a smaller piece that you can use again. Okay. So I'll give it all a good iron. Now that's a big scrap. So Marquet, that's probably a little bit bigger than you want, although you certainly can do it that way. It would just be a good look. I think I would recommend pick, as you make all 45 of these, just determine to yourself that either you're going to make all of your strips exactly the same color. Ooh, police car just went by. Or that you're going to stick within 2 to 3 inches. This one is probably as big as I might go. So that's a pretty big variation. So anyway, here we have 5.5 by 11. And just to finish out our first mystery clue, let me true this one up for us. Make sure you can see that. I literally turn it over to the back, put my ruler on it, Voila, clean it up. There's one side. This is pretty satisfying too, because it cleans up so nicely. I need a new mat, as Joyce reminded me. Actually, she suggested it to me. I hadn't even considered it. Ay. Okay, so I've done each side. Doesn't that look cleaner already? And this is where clean up each side so that it's 11.5 inches by 11.5. I mean, what am I saying? 11 by 5.5. And there is one unit, 1B. And you need 45 of these. So with that, I think we're up against our hour. I really want to thank everyone for joining me and making the mystery. Have a great weekend. It's amazing what we get done in 60 minutes. Take another 60 minutes this weekend and plug away at this. Do what you love to do. Make every day count. And again, thanks for making my Friday. I really had fun. See you next week.